Hi guys, Matt Robinson here from the Facilities Management Exchange. We're about to give you a fantastic new episode. Episode 11, Discovering Workplace Culture and Mental Health.
I run a business that helps people think about high-performing teams, but underpinned by mental health and well-being.
In this episode, we discuss everything around how to revitalise the culture of a business that's perhaps dealing with some toxic traits and things of that nature.
Sometimes we, without realising it, become part of the toxic culture by spending all of our waking hours complaining about it.
And we are joined by the fantastic Petra Velzeboer.
People can kind of relate to wearing a mask in order to survive, right? Over time, the cracks begin to show. Like, I had this fire in me that really wanted to do good in the world.
Petra is an author of 2 books, a keynote speaker globally as well, by the way.
So often we're turning the volume down on what our body is telling us, and actually we should turn the volume up. Listen to the information that is affecting our lives.
And she's also created 2 TED Talks. An absolutely fantastic episode. I learned so much, and I've known Petra for about 2 years, but she's always teaching me new things.
No one said, who do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
What job do you want to do?
Yeah.
It was like, you're going to be God's end-time soldier.
Yeah.
Soldier.
So if you can't learn something from this podcast, you can't learn anything from anywhere.
But everyone's experiencing a different version of reality
Which
because
is crazy,
of that.
based on what you do for a living and the type of things that you think about, the type of things. How do you think that will impact the individual? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, hello! How are you doing? Matt Robinson here from the Facilities Management Exchange. And we've got another episode for you, but this one is different. For the first time in the history of the Facilities Management Exchange, we don't have a panel. We're going to be focusing on one individual, one person. And you may ask yourself, well, why are you doing that? Well, to be fair, it's all about the individual that we have on this panel. This individual has written several books. So she's an author. She's done several TED Talks. And she's an absolute demon in her chosen field. So I'm very, very pleased today to welcome and introduce everybody to Petra Velzeboer. How you doing, Petra?
Very good. I feel honored that you just got me here.
I know. You're the first, mate.
I hope I don't let you down.
Oh, no. We've known each other a while. I wouldn't do this for anybody else, to be fair, Petra. How you doing? You well?
Really good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Have you had a nice day?
Really good day. As you know, there's always something going on, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. What have you been up to?
Well, I'll say that I'm starting my mornings off really sharp. And I can't always say this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, morning routines. But I'm like meditating and hitting the gym and doing a few things.
Really?
First thing.
How do you find meditating?
I went to this Buddhist center. They were doing a challenge in Brixton, and I went throughout January. And it was like 150 people in a room, like meditating for 2 hours and chat. Well, it would be like a chat and a meditation, a chat and meditation. People from like all walks of life, young people, older people, South London, you know.
Really?
Yeah. And it was just a really great way to just practice being present is really what it is. Like, I'm not into the spiritual or anything aspects of it, but it's just nervous system regulation allows me to get out of survival mode and into more like, you know, strategic creativity.
Yeah, I'd say I actually find meditating really hard because my head's just...
But that's what people get wrong is like, you're not supposed to quiet your mind. You're supposed to accept that it's loud.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You don't have to be like, quiet, quiet, quiet. That's where people get it wrong.
Oh, really?
You just sit there and go, there I am, wandering around again. And then you bring yourself back into your body, and then you leave, and then you come back, and then you leave.
Right.
But it's not for everyone.
Is it like, do you do the chanting element as well?
No, not really. I just have like, you know, blissful, wonderful music on in the background and close my eyes.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Have you seen the film What's Love Got to Do with It, Tina Turner?
Yes.
You know where she starts meditating and
It's
chanting?
been a while. Yeah.
Ya yang ho renge.
I'm not
That's
doing
that one, isn't it?
It is. I'm not doing that.
Why not?
Well, when I went to the Buddhist center, they did do some chanting, and it was like the vibration of it. So if you just think,
that's why they do it, isn't it? It's the vibration and the continuous.
The vibration is amazing.
Yeah,
it's just like your body feels it, and I think that's what we're missing out on a lot in this world, where it's like go 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 go.
Yeah, we've completely removed ourselves from nature, I think, as a race, haven't we, really, to be fair? Which kind of takes us into directly why you're here.
Yeah.
We've completely segued right at the beginning, Petra, which I totally expected. So tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do. Obviously, we've mentioned the fact that you've authored several books, that you've been on TED Talks, and that you're also a worldwide keynote speaker. So tell us all about who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are now.
Well, that's a bigger question.
I know, but I love this. I love this, though. That's why I've asked.
So I run a business that helps people think about high-performing teams, but underpinned by mental health and well-being. So often we have these separate conversations, like the fluffy feeling stuff, and then the like targets and business objectives. And my job is really bring those together, because high-performing teams have that within it, right? We trust each other, we can open up, that sort of thing. I can't believe I can say I've written a couple of books and I've done a couple of TED Talks.
I think last time we caught up, it was one book, wasn't it?
I think it was one book.
And then you've done the last one since. So, well, congratulations on the second book first.
Thank you. So the first one was about mental health at work and has a bit of my crazy story in it, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Which I love, by the way.
And then the second one's about digital well-being, and it's about tech addiction, really.
Oh, now that I'd love to talk about.
And it's highlighting how lonely and isolated we all are from each other, even though technically we're busier and more connected than ever, right? So I get into just real practical tips for how do we think about our relationship to our devices, but then as a whole, like, is this how we want to live our lives, or is there something else we want to be doing? So those are the books, and it's pretty cool that second book has got me all over the world, like at cybersecurity conferences and AI events.
Has it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just gotten me, it's blown up a whole new kind of audience. People are worried about this sort of topic. So,
well, I'm not surprised because it's a very new phenomenon, I mean, I know that I've got a 15-year-old daughter, Petra, and if I had my time over, I wouldn't let her anywhere near social media. I genuinely wouldn't.
But you wouldn't have known, right?
No,
that's the thing.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. That's why education's important. And by having people like yourself actually talking about these issues and how to counteract them, I think is crucial.
And also how to take some responsibility for it, because I think we all know billions of pounds and dollars is being spent competing for our attention, essentially. So it's like we put boundaries in place, and then we feel stressed, and then we start scrolling, and and it's just goes round and round, and then we're like, oh, this fucking phone. Can I swear?
Okay, good. Go on. We're all adults in this room, Petra, don't worry.
And then you're back doing the same thing, like buying something you didn't even want, or feeling terrible about yourself because of everything that you're watching, whatever it might be. So I kind of, for many of us, that's out of our control. We can't change the system, but what are the things that we can do? So I kind of get into, well, what's possible for us as individuals, as parents, as employees, to feel better. And of course, do better work, but feel better within ourselves.
Okay. So how would you start that approach then now? Because it is very. This is new, I think. People are talking about social media, and we've now got governments talking about banning it for up to 16-year-olds. What does that look like? And how do you do that without preventing them from accessing information that they should be able to access, if that makes sense? How do you practically put that into practice, I suppose?
Well, so there's the thing about parenting, but there's, just like with leaders, we think we need to sort our employees out, but it really starts with us, right?
Yes,
Which is the title of my first book, Begin With You.
Yeah.
And here's a question.
Go on.
If you ask the 2 or 3 closest people in your life, could be your family, your closest mates, whatever, what they think your relationship is like to your device, your phone, what would they say?
Oh, well, my wife would say that I'm on it all the time, but I'm not. And I would say to her, you're on it all the time. We argue about this on the couch. She'll tell me to put the phone down, and I'm going to say, and you've always got your... It's that kind of... It's that back and forth, it is.
But everyone thinks that the other person's the one with the problem, which is classic addictive behavior, right?
Oh, right, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, we're like, you, and it's defensive. And if someone holds a mirror up to us, we're like, fuck you. It's you, right?
Yeah. But that's really interesting, because you know a friend of mine, Patrick O'Sullivan. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
So he came on the show several weeks ago, and he said that what we'd done is we'd replaced things like coffee, and we'd replaced things like I think he said heroin, to be fair. So I don't, like we've replaced these things with digital devices. So instead of picking up a cigarette or a beer or a this or a that, we're picking up a phone and we're doing it that way. Would you agree with that?
Some people are doing all of the things.
Well, that's true. Yeah. That's very true.
But what I will agree with is we're using our device to avoid difficult conversations, feelings, processing things. And so no wonder we're more stressed and burnt out, because the stress builds up. That's normal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, like, we don't shake it out. We don't let it out of our system, because we just move from one thing to another stressful thing that gives us like a little dopamine hit, but then keeps us in this loop where we just keep needing to get more. Yeah. So for some people, sure, it might be. I'm still drinking coffee. I don't know about you.
No, I've cut down though. I've maybe 2 or 3 a day now.
But it's really when we're stressed or tired or lonely. There's this saying in addiction recovery, because as you know, I'm 16 years sober, and it's this acronym called HALT, H-A-L-T, and it's hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Right. And those are the risk factors for any addict, because any trigger can then allow you to drink or do drugs or whatever. But it's the same thing for digital addictions. So hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and we could add some things to that list. And we're like, ooh, I don't want to deal with that. Let me just avoid it and watch, swipe, whatever it is, shop.
Really?
But that feedback loop is usually the starting point to think, do I even have a problem?
Yeah, because I don't think most people would identify technology in the same way that you're describing, in terms of, reaching for perhaps a drink or a cigarette or a drug or whatever, or gambling or whatever that addiction may be.
You'd be surprised.
But we don't recognise it as a society at the minute, do we? Like if you spoke to your average person on the street and you said, if you drink a bottle of vodka a day, are you an alcoholic? Are you addicted to alcohol? They would probably go, well, yeah, of course you are. But then if you ask that same person, if you're on your phone for 6 hours a day, are you addicted to that device? They would probably say no.
2 things. Not every person who's addicted to alcohol drinks a bottle of vodka a day.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was very, yeah.
But also, my publishers thought that. So my publishers, when I was going to write the book, they were like, be careful with the addiction thing. They're like, not everyone's going to get it or be whatever. And I was like, okay. So I started asking people, right? And I started going, would you think you are addicted or you have a healthy relationship? And across the board, young people, older people, the older people are less, their brains are less wired to their device, right? Of course, so it's kind of less prevalent. But across the board, people were going, yep, addicted.
Really?
So I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
And so I always do this thing when I do my talks on this, which is this kind of line between compulsion. Compulsive behavior is like, ooh, I just feel like doing it sometimes, right? And then addictive behavior is, even when I know I want to do something else, like talk to my wife, and I actually have a connection with my kids, I am still, just give me a minute, it's right? And then what's funny with parents and kids is, the kids were like, you're always on your device, and the parent will say, yeah, but I'm doing important stuff. I'm on work, or I'm doing emails, or I'm doing.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah, right. And like to a kid, that they don't understand these variables of what's important to them. Their social life is important.
I don't do it with my children. Children, I play it with the wife, though. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Fair. Shut that down.
I'm a good dad, honest.
But I mean, it's easy to do because because we are busy and we do have our work in our pockets and we can be doing things all of the time. We almost don't realize we're doing it.
It is a big shift, isn't it? Because we talk about technology quite a bit on the show, usually within the parameters of buildings rather than individuals. But it is a massive shift. And like with the advent of AI and so on and so forth, I mean, I think like the Internet of Things, and I apply this to all technology, the Internet of Things changed society over a 20, 25-year period. Yeah. So it's completely different to when I was at school. I mean, I think AI will do the same thing, but in 5 years. I think it will just completely transform everything that we do as a society. And how do you think, based on what you do for a living and the type of things that you think about, the type of things, how do you think that will impact the individual? Do you think that this addiction will get worse? Will we be, instead of wearable tech, are we going to implant something in our brain? Where do you see this going, and how will it impact us psychologically, do you think?
Well, anyone who fully says that they have an answer to that question is lying, because I don't think anyone fully knows. We don't know the gravity of some of this. I'm actually an optimist, which surprises some people.
Right.
Yeah, because I think the way many organizations have been working for centuries and, decades and decades is no longer fit for purpose.
Yeah.
And I know in your business, you've got kind of frontline staff and you've got back-end staff and that sort of thing. But if you think of the normal office worker, right, who is working in a system that was set up for factories, really. Clock in, clock out. The longer you're there, the more you do, right?
That's what the education system's about, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're still we're in this, because of COVID, we're in this liminal kind of middle space where we're like hybrid, home, and now we're mandating people come back in and it's just like, so in a weird way, it's got to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
So, and that's what's happening, is it is getting worse. People are restructuring and changing and scared and nervous and all this sort of thing. But if you look at history, it's got to kind of take this dip where we're like, guys, this isn't working.
Yeah.
We've got to, and AI is helping us disrupt that.
Yeah.
So I do think there's this potential and opportunity for us to work in better, different ways. The flip side, from the individual perspective, is isolation, loneliness, and the impact of that on our mental health and our ability to. Here's a question for you. What's your main social media platform that you consume information? So not LinkedIn, that's like work, but what do you consume?
It is actually LinkedIn.
Is it?
Being really sad. Well, the one that I probably do consume, it would be Facebook, but not to interact with people.
No, horrible.
No, I don't want to do that.
Why would you do that? That's why it was set up, but whatever.
No, but I'm really into things that I'm into things like cryptids and UFOs, and I like thinking about so I'll watch. I'm really sad, but if there's a Bigfoot, if it's 10 minutes on Bigfoot or Dogman or UFOs,
So,
I will stop at that video and watch it, and politics probably as well, because I'm interested in that too.
Right. So the fun question is what are the two things that your algorithms are feeding back to you because they know you like it?
Oh yeah, Bigfoot and
So okay.
I've seen every Bigfoot documentary.
So UFOs and Bigfoot, and then politics, which is kind of just as crazy.
Yeah,
right?
and that's mental as well. But the algorithms are bad as well, though, because I don't.
But everyone's experiencing a different version of reality because of that, which is very interesting. Sorry.
No, it's fine. That is crazy, though. When you actually think about it, because the algorithms are pushing individual narratives that are specific to what you perhaps search, we've got this massively polarized society now, haven't we? Where
that's what I'm worried about.
That's scary.
And it becomes your truth. You just think this is the way the world goes, and you see the way people do conflict, or they avoid conflict. That's what lots of younger people are saying coming into the workplace is we really want to learn from other people, but we're just really scared of face-to-face interaction, right? It's ooh, humans, right?
I know.
But hey, I'll tell you everything I think on text or on chat or on Messenger or whatever else, right?
Yeah.
Do you notice when you're so your well-being is up, and your algorithms are showing you a certain thing. And then if it's down, so it dips a bit because you're stressed or you're tired or whatever, life happens, do your algorithms change for you?
I haven't noticed that.
Because mine will starkly change within 48 hours.
Will they really?
Yeah.
What, it identifies your mood?
Well, kind of.
Right.
So my YouTube's probably the one where I consume a little bit of stuff. And the two things, when I'm well, it's very clear. I have personal development stuff, podcasts like this, personal development, all this stuff, and I have workout videos.
Right.
So boom, 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 boom. I'm influence me. It's great.
Yeah.
Within 24 or 48 hours, so, I live with PTSD and sometimes the stress, the triggers, whatever. I'll start scrolling, just that kind of mood, because I'm just fuck it, I'm tired, I'm just gonna,
Right,
And within maybe a 12-hour period, my algorithms are now showing me 911 emergency calls, because for some reason that's fun. Yeah.
Really?
Have you ever seen those?
No, I have,
911, what's your emergency? It's
my husband's being murdered in the bedroom.
It's a toddler going, my dad just shot my mom or something.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
That's fine.
You shouldn't interview me at night.
No, this is fine. This is exactly what we want to say.
And then children being rescued from abusive households.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'm just rescue them. And it's a weird dopamine thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I do that for an hour. And then I'm whoa, I need to take a step away and basically reset my algorithm so that they can influence me in a way that I
in a
want
positive
them to,
way.
which is me trying to hack the system for myself,
Okay, so have they shown you one video that's outside of your usual thing, and then you've watched that for a period, and then the algorithm's gone, She likes that.
Yeah, so then it gives you like, ooh, workout, and then it's
I've
like,
had that
ooh,
before.
emergency.
That I've had before. Yeah.
And so like if you get stuck in a loop, and again, what's interesting in asking
doom
people,
scrolling, that's what they call it these days, isn't it?
They
doom
do.
Scrolling. Yeah.
But then doom scrolling is also like all the terrible things happening in the world,
Yeah.
you know, and of course there's terrible things, but in the research for my book, it said bad news travels 6 times faster than good news.
Yeah.
And so we're getting this feeling or this loop that the world's a terrible place.
Yeah, and
when
we're all going to die and all
well,
that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you go about your day-to-day life and you're like, oh, nice person, polite person.
Yeah.
This, we did good work, you know? And
Yeah.
so there's like a mismatch between what we're being fed is happening and our
Yeah.
actual experience. But our nervous system is experiencing bad news travels 6 times faster than good news. So that means we're like in this like fight or flight survival kind of mode. But actually our day-to-day, like, hey, I'll order a coffee. Let me do my job.
Well, 95% of the people you meet in your day-to-day will be very, very nice to you and very, very pleasant, and it'll be a pleasant experience. But that 5% is probably replicated. Is that 5% in real life probably becomes 95% in the world of the internet, I suppose, social media, whatever you call it, online,
that
online
world, yeah,
that world. But that's crackers. So you mentioned your past. I do want to talk about this
Sure,
because
of course.
I think it's such a cool. I like your story, Petra, in terms of where it started and then where you got to, and so on and so forth. So talk to us a little bit about your youth.
Sure.
And talk to us a little bit about some, because I know that you're perfectly happy to share these things.
Yeah, of course.
Otherwise I wouldn't. Talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges that you had, how you got through those challenges, and how you got to where you are now, because I think that that's a very cool story.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I guess it's a long one, but
Yeah.
the shorter version is I'm Dutch,
Yep.
which not everyone can realize, but my surname's Dutch. But I grew up in communes, and it's interesting these days when I just give that version, when I say I grew up in communes all over the world, people kind of lean in and they're like, tell me more.
Yeah.
They're like, where is it? Are they recruiting? And I'm like, And that's because people are lonely and they're lacking community. And all these things are popping up, these like places and, you know, for people to try and do community differently.
Yeah.
So I get to toy with people a little bit. But the reality is I was born in a religious cult and it's pretty notorious. I read this magazine article once that had like the top 100 worst cults in the world. And it was number 29 or something, which, so it's not nothing, right? What we sort of experienced, and talk about the end of the world. We were preparing for the end of the world.
Can I say who? Because I know.
Yeah, of course.
It was Children of God.
Yeah, Children of God, and then they rebranded at some point. As you do.
What a cult rebrand?
The cult rebrand because they
New
kept
website, social media page.
Totally. No, it was. Yeah. They had to become because there was lots of like police raids and kids being taken away and social services, and there was a whole phase where that sort of thing was happening.
Wow.
And so they rebranded and they discounted some of the stuff that had happened, and
because am I right in saying there was a celebrity that was part of that? Is it Rose McGowan or someone like that?
Rose McGowan, Joaquin Phoenix, and his family.
Yeah, there was quite a few people.
Quite a few people. But also in the 70s, which is when it started, it seemed pretty cool. It was music, it was young people. The ethos was like, let's rebel against the church system, which is keeping us, giving our money to these stuffy people. Like, we should go out in the world and do good things. So that's the premise that my parents joined, and that generation were like, we should go out and do good things. And we were doing, like, I lived in India and Brazil and Russia and Kenya and all these places where we were really young and
that's
doing.
Cool, though.
There was some really, now I can appreciate, like, the cultures I spent time in, the people, like, it really gives me an edge in the work and the life that I do now, because I can see things from all these perspectives, whereas some people can't if they've just grown up in this one.
In that little box, and they've never stepped outside of it. If you've got lived experience in several boxes, then
so many boxes. And I'm in a blended family, so my dad's black, my mom's white. Like, I'm the only blonde kid in my sibling group. I thought my black brother was my twin till I was about 11. Like, it was crazy. It was like we were the same age, and so we had these perspectives on each other's lives that was just maybe, now I realize, quite unique.
Right.
And we were raised to feel like we were special, we were part of something, we belonged to a bigger purpose and mission, and all of that feels really good, right? But it also then has a toxic side because you don't want to leave that. So there would be like these warning stories that if this person left and they became an addict or a prostitute or whatever, and those would be the stories that you'd like be on repeat. So
they'd like focus on the negative elements rather than anything positive. Well, that's what the media does, isn't it?
But also not taking into account that we didn't go to school as kids. We didn't have resources. Often our parents gave all their money to this group. And like, if you made the brave decision, especially at 15 or something, to leave, which many people did, where did you go? You couldn't just get a job. You missed school. You didn't, so you might end up in a dodgy job or somewhere just to survive or get by. Yeah. But then they would use it as this narrative of like, see, God punishes you if you don't listen. Yeah,
and I guess as well, a lot of people end up getting taken advantage of by people when they leave that kind of environment because they don't have those. That's very sad, isn't it? That's very...
Well, it's a lot to... kind of build your life from afterwards, right?
Yeah.
When that's because remember, like my parents' generation joined, we were born into it.
Yeah. So you didn't know anything else?
No.
No.
There's no before and after. Like this is it. This is and we only had. No one said, "Who do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
What job do you want to do?"
Yeah.
It was like you're going to be God's end time soldier.
Yeah.
Soldier.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And when Armageddon, whatever, you're here to save the world. And so, like, I mean, it's a different kind of pressure than, like, you should get a master's degree. But it's like...
Well, it's a spiritual pressure, isn't it?
It's a huge pressure.
Yeah.
And then it's really got this thing about, like, guilt. And if you go a different way, you don't tell anyone because someone can snitch on you in the community. So, like, who do you trust? Like, yeah. So the older I got, the weirder it got in a way.
Yeah. So did you kind of age out of it then? Were you quite willful and quite...
No.
Oh, really?
No.
Right,
I was the shyest, quietest. This is hilarious that I speak on stage everywhere now.
Yeah.
I said nothing. My survival strategy was to be as invisible as possible.
Really?
Yeah. I was not the troublemaker.
Right.
At all. My older sister was.
But, right. Yeah. Okay.
So I was really quiet. But underneath the surface, as I became a teenager, I started going,
Yeah.
Like I had this fire in me that really wanted to do good in the world. And that I bought into that bit, which is why I almost ignored. And this really relates to toxic work cultures.
Yeah.
Because we will agree to so much stuff because we get a paycheck or because like we saw what happened to that guy when he spoke up, right? So if we talk about psychological safety and stuff, it's really hard to do when your whole system, that's how you're safe, right? Is in this context. So I kind of learned that the hard way. And then did I age out? Well, the cult changed. So when I was 13, the old kind of founder died, and then his wife took over. And so it had this different iteration, but there was a little bit more freedom than what there'd been before.
Right, okay.
So when I was a young adult, I got really good at leading a double life. So I wasn't the outwardly difficult one. I was the sneaky one who could be like, I'm so good over here. And then just, drink and do drugs. And But also, like, if you don't have a way to express what's going on for you in a healthy way, it often comes out
in a negative way.
Yeah, in a negative way. And so for me, that double life was going on for a while. And then I met my now ex-husband, but the father of my kids.
Yeah.
And we partied in secret for a while.
Right.
And then I fell pregnant with my son.
Right.
After 3 months of like partying. You don't really know a person
No.
or the foundation of a great relationship, but respect to him.
Yeah.
He said, because I was living in Amsterdam, he said, come move to London and we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And so that was my before and after. So I moved to London, 7 months pregnant, move in with my boyfriend and his best mate.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to say that was the part of the story and then they lived happily ever after and she built a business and it was all wonderful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's when you leave the toxic environment and you're actually safe that your body just falls apart. So I'm like in London for the first time. I'm isolated. I don't have any support network other than my partner and his family.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fit into their culture and their way of doing things. I feel shame that I don't have an education. I don't have a lot of things. And I then have my daughter, so I'm like this housewife, like playing this role, and I'm not made for that kind of thing. Just to be.
And how old were you then, Petra?
So I was 23 when I had my son.
So still young, still very, very young,
But so I have 2 kids, and then I'm 25 when I step into a classroom for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, to start my. And I'm not saying we didn't have an education. We we were taught to read and write, and we were homeschooled in the way that was allowing for propaganda and stuff. I got a library card, which I, voraciously read any book I could get my hands on. So very self-taught and resourceful, but not actually. I didn't have a high school diploma. I didn't have anything like that. And so I guess it was this after bit that really got tough because my addiction got much worse. I've got 2 young kids. I'm starting to pretty much lose my mind while I'm trying to go to school, and having a purpose your whole life, even if it's given to you, and then to have no purpose, to feel punished by God, because that's still my brain is just a bit messed up.
That's how your brain works. That's the propaganda still.
And then I think that I've made a mistake by having my kids. And I know, and it's awful. And they're young adults now, and we talk a lot about some of these stories and how I've learned to support them even, and they've taught me so much. But to answer that question about how do you get from that to this, slowly, and and I had to get sober, and that really helped because for me, alcohol specifically was the massive depressant.
Really?
And so within a week or 2 of drinking, even now, if I go back to it, right, I just spiral into depressive, suicidal ideation. Yeah, it's a mental illness, not just the physical thing that many people think about.
Yeah.
So I had to get sober, night school, working. I was in youth mental health for a while. And eventually I got sick of working for companies that were telling other people what to do and not doing it themselves. I was like, I have led a double life, and it almost killed me. I was like, I can't, I've got to find another way. And so that was the kind of seed of starting my own business and just trying to prove a point, could we live in a healthy way ourselves as a business while teaching other people? That was basically the thing I wanted to prove. And hey, the rest they say is history.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. Because how long has the business? How long have you been in business?
We've probably been 8 years.
8 years. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you've grown quite considerably, haven't you, over that period?
Well, I grew my business. I had quite a few employees, and then realized that the structure of it meant that I could do less of what I love doing and I'm really good at. So I ended up shrinking back, and I've got freelancers who deliver the training, a small core team, and that's kind of just the right balance because I just want to be taking action. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And not just,
I get that, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's pretty exciting.
You want to be in the weeds. Really getting down to it. And so how do you... So if you were to go into a workplace and you identified that it had a toxic work... Because I guess most people, what they would do if they identified that would go in and go, right, let's get rid of this person and get rid of that person. That
They'll just replace them with another toxic person.
Yeah, but that would be the approach, wasn't it? So how do you go about... because I find this quite interesting, how do you go about changing the culture? Because we've gone through something very similar here in the last sort of 12 to 18 months. A lot of things that I suggested, I learned from you, actually. So how would you go out there for people listening, for people watching that perhaps have that issue or they've identified that issue? What are the first steps? How do you...
Well, the first thing is it's usually not black or white. It's not like it's all toxic or it's all wonderful and healthy. Even a healthy organization can experience pockets where there's no psychological safety, or what we call groupthink, which is we're agreeing to something because the most senior person in the room said it first, and we just go along with it. And it's not even that they're toxic. It's just that that's how systems and groups often function. Yeah. And so you need to put steps in place to consistently think about your culture, right? Even if it's healthy, even if you have good intentions. Yeah. And then, of course, we know there's the toxic ones that are right? And everyone's toxic, and they just fire everyone that doesn't kind of go with the party line. Most businesses are somewhere in the middle. Yeah. With the amount of leadership change and restructure and this, that, and the other, you're going to have pockets where there's a stressed out survival mode manager who's treating people like shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's first kind of knowing that we don't just wipe it with the same brush. And I'm not even... from my perspective, these kind of diagnostics and surveys and it can give you a small insight, but it doesn't necessarily give you the picture of where to start.
Right. Okay.
Right. So when people say I'm stressed, I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Stress is good for high performance. If you think of an elite football team, they're all a bit stressed.
Yeah, of course.
They've got to perform, right?
Yeah.
You got to perform to your deadlines and whatever. So stress is not the enemy, but it's how we navigate it and those sorts of things. So for me, I'm totally fine with starting with a pocket of the business that gets it. And they're like, oh, so we really just want to make this new team come together, or we want people to think about burnout and back each other up and prevent maybe something that's happened already for them, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. I like starting in a small place and then influencing from within, right? Because then you're educating every bit, because not every company comes to you and goes, here's, loads of resources, sort it out, right? Unlimited resources, do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
So often you have to be proving yourself within it, but also be getting these influencers in the business. It might start with the people team or a leader who maybe saw me at a keynote and is like, do that thing with our team, right?
Yeah.
Which is a great way in when that happens, actually.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then we want to think about connecting the dots between high performance and well-being. That's the language that even the leaders, the resources, they're like, oh, we can be on the same side here. So often, as you know, it's like, oh, here's a number to call, or here's something, some support for people who are struggling. And I'm like, it's a bit late.
Yeah.
What happens before?
Yeah, of course,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested in what that's useful, of course. We need those kind of things to back people up, but I'm interested in culture, meeting culture. How do we interact? What's the psychological safety like? Do we have a shared language around burnout prevention? And even just checking in with each other. Yeah. Because as you know from my story, it's not always the person who looks like, they're a poor performer and they're just filthy. And, I did this school workshop one and I went, draw a picture in a group of someone who's mentally unwell. Yeah. And they were creative. They drew what looked like a homeless person with flies around him and scraggly hair and, like these perceptions of what somebody whose brain is struggling looks like runs deep.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's one of the things that really stuck with me when you did that presentation. You had that picture of you where you actually looked like you were going through something. Yeah. And then you had this lovely picture of you and your daughter. And the question that you asked was, out of these two pictures, which one of these people is struggling? And you would automatically think it was the first picture. You would, but it wasn't. It was the second one, which I found quite interesting. And then, kind of after that as well, have you seen that television advertisement where there's a guy going to the football match every single day, and there's that guy that looks really, really sad, and then for whatever reason, it's the guy that's happy that doesn't turn up to the last game. But I found that really interesting because obviously I saw your presentation before that advertisement came out, and that kind of resonated with me in terms of you can never really identify who is actually having a potential issue, problem, whether that's in terms of mental health or performance in the workplace, and it's so difficult to.
It's personal.
Yeah,
and especially at work.
Yeah,
that's the place that you're paying me to do a job. I'm going to hide anything to do with my weakness in quotation marks, right? Yeah. That could be used against me. And as much as I'd like to encourage people to openly talk and all these things, in those toxic cultures, it probably will be used against you. Yeah. So you maybe need to get your resources and do the talking in outside of work or with that helpline number, if that is your context, right? But I'm seeing lots of workplaces that are changing, which is amazing, where you can have those open conversations and just check in a way that I always say, people. Yeah. We check in by talking about the weekend, the weather, and sports.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I agree, yeah.
And fine. It's a very thing to do. And in other countries, it's slightly different, which is cute when you find out what the thing is. But there's always three. And fine, those are bonding rituals. How was the weekend? Yeah. How was the weekend is not going, hey, how are you really doing?
That's true.
Because people go, ooh, we do this little ping pong thing, right? Where either I'm fine or I'm busy, or the family, you just kind of do a little, watch the football, whatever. And so, right?
It's so true.
It's just
it's so true.
Yeah. And so I'm fine with that stuff, but especially if you're a leader, but I think we're all leaders in our culture, we can all create impact. Ask more creative questions, or let the weekend, the weather, and sports be like a bridge that allows you to then go, so how's it really going? Or Or what's going well in your life these days? You remember that, like, everyone's like, oh, are you okay? And think that that's how we check in about mental health.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And I asked my team, what's the best thing that happened to you last week? Or, you know, what's one thing you're really proud of? Like, that's creating culture as well. Positive psychology.
Yeah. So do you think, because I think some people would be a little bit fearful of that because of the litigious nature of our working society. So, because there's certain things that you can ask people and there's other things that perhaps you can't, or that can be, I guess, interpreted by a certain... So that once again is a difficult... So how would you assess that within an organisation, or how would you approach that?
Well, again... There's certain things that are more common sense that maybe we're a bit careful of. Everyone's roles are different, so I can't, you know, there will be nuance, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But I always think what's worthwhile is doing this as a team. So we have this team expectation of how we want to be.
So people feel more comfortable.
Yeah, so it's like, yes, you can be asking more creative questions, absolutely, and be careful, whatever, if you need to be. But if you bring into a team chat, like, let's talk about how we work, not just what we do. Yeah. When we perform at our best, how do we know if somebody needs some backup? How do we know, like, having those chats then goes, all right, well, and it's normal. Like, in my team, it's just so normal to just say, we actually say, how's your mental health today?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I've done that before. You know,
Good.
I mean, I'm pretty open anyway, Petra. As you know, like, I'll have those conversations with people.
It's it's more normal in certain...
I do it cheekily. I'm cheeky.
But that's a good way,
that's kind of my way of doing it.
To use a bit of humor and connection. It doesn't have to be like... I have seen these businesses where they have a well-being room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's this room? And it's like in a basement. And it's like, I'm like, oh, there's like tissues. I'm like, who's coming in here to talk? Like,
it used to be a shower next to the disabled toilet, but now it's a well-being room.
Exactly. And there's bean bags, and you're like, it doesn't make sense.
No,
it doesn't make sense.
No. Because if somebody, I honestly feel that if somebody was feeling, let's say, overwhelmed within the workplace, and you wanted to talk to them, I wouldn't take them to a wellbeing room. I would take them off-site and take them for a coffee.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and just...
A walk, a coffee,
you know, a bit of fresh air, an environment where they felt more comfortable having a conversation. A closed door with four walls, it to me does not elicit, let's have a chat.
And these days, I always say, because so many people are hybrid or remote, right?
Yeah.
And so that might not always be the option.
No.
But like, don't even have a formal Teams call. Like, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I'm out for a walk. Should we do a little walk and talk? Just want to check in. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah. Like, we get very formal. Like, let's have a Teams call, 30 minutes. And you're like, you're just like, what do you expect of me? So tell me, how are you? Like that.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I do it with my team all the time. I just Teams them, like, and I'll do it randomly. You know, I'll just have something that's going on, and someone will pop me in. I need to have a chat with so-and-so about that. So I'll just Teams them. And they're like, oh, hello. And it's always like, they always think I'm trying to catch them out. I'm genuinely not. You know, like, I don't care what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, my view of productivity is I don't care what hours you do as long as the work gets done. That's my view. You can do it whenever you want as long as it gets done and we meet the deadlines. But like, sometimes I can tell by their face, they're like, oh, he's trying to, and I'm not.
But do you say,
I'm not trying to catch you out.
But do you say explicitly that you're not?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, good. So you have to say it out loud, otherwise.
Yeah. No,
they're like, but I don't think so. But if you don't say it, you know.
No, they know. I'm pretty like, you know. Like, hello, how are you? You know, and one of my team, I've just had a workout, and I'm like, oh, cool, man. Good, you're looking after your physical well-being.
Nice. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I kind of do it that way because, like I said, I genuinely don't care. They're all adults, aren't they? You know, if I can't trust them, then I wouldn't have brought them onto my team, if that makes sense.
Which is how it should be.
Yeah, which I think is really important. So sort of moving forward, talking about, because obviously, you know, keynote speaking, TED Talks. How do you get ready for them? And what was your first one like, Petra? Were you nervous? Yeah.
Of course.
What was that like?
So I still get nervous.
Yeah.
Well, I remember... So I had done workshops in schools for a couple years, and so I'd been with, and trust me, kids will tell you to your face if you're shit. Yeah. And so it really is.
Mine tell me all the time.
Well, so it's really the way to learn. Because you're like, okay, feedback loop is immediate. It's not this like delayed survey of like, could have been better with this politeness, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and they'll vote with their feet. They'll just be like disengaged immediately. And I worked in with kids who'd been kicked out of school and young offenders, and so they would
So quite challenging.
they would tell
children anyway.
They'd
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
a chair, like you just knew, right?
Yeah.
And so when I got into the corporate
go
space,
in like an American football uniform or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so two things I remember. One was I did my very first law firm, and there were 60 people in the room, right?
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, and it was like a paid gig, and it was more like a keynote, and basically you just had an hour,
Yeah.
right? And everyone's like in the same gray suit like that. And I was thinking, I was like, give me a kid who's got a weapon any day. Like, I don't know what to do with these people. But then I realized that I actually had an edge over corporate trainers because I believed I had to earn your attention.
Yeah.
I'm not taking this for granted, but I realized they just have to be there, you know. But
well, they're paid to be salary, isn't it? Yeah, different.
But the energy that I brought to it was one that was earning their attention, and I was like, and then it landed really well. Like I would get people up, and I would get people doing things and chatting, and you know. But I remember the first one that was filmed. So I went up to Manchester. It was for Havas Links, and they were live streaming it, and so they said no audience interaction. And I relied on that.
Oh, no.
And they were just like, you've got an hour, we'll do Q&A at the end. And I found this out 10 minutes before we were due to go on. I was bricking it. I was like, how am I going to fucking talk for that long?
Yeah.
What am I going to say? Because I always use these tactics of like asking a question or talk to the person next to you. And I'd check my notes, I'd take a breath, I'd drink some water, you know, and be like...
And that interaction kind of cues you for the next bit, doesn't it? It sets you up. Yeah.
And you just have to get into flow and the show must go on. And you just sink or swim and you figure it out.
Wow. Did you have a PowerPoint then that you were delivering?
I had a PowerPoint.
So that gives you that.
Yeah.
But
there's like a picture on the PowerPoint, but it gives me, I had a little structure. I kind of knew what I was doing, but I was like, is it going to be long enough? If I'm not getting them to do anything, each slide I had to stretch with stories and anecdotes and stuff,
Really?
right? Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm a professional attention seeker, so I'd probably enjoy it.
But that's...
I say this to people all the time, you know,
But it's
actually,
like...
I don't think I would. If I got up there, I think it'd be very different. But
an hour's a long time.
that is a long time to talk.
And now I've done like 1,000 people,
Really?
like Madonna mics and lights. And
What's that like?
It's cool.
Is it I've heard from people before that the more you speak to, the easier it is. So it's actually more difficult, let's say in a town hall with 25 people than it is in a big auditorium with 1,000.
Kind of.
Yeah, because someone said to me, they said it was a little bit more personal in that town hall setting.
Yeah.
So you could actually hear what people, if someone thought you were shit,
Well,
you
if
could
someone
hear it.
picks their phone up or
You
whatever.
know, it was very, whereas in an auditorium, this guy said to me, it's just very different because there's always going to be an element of the audience that is engaged, so you don't quite notice the people that aren't as much.
But if you lose your voice or choke or like something, the shame feeling of like 1,000 people looking at you is like a little bit higher.
Wow. So how does it feel now then? Because you've done a lot of these now, haven't you?
I've done so many, and so I get excited. I've learned to change fear into excitement. It's two sides of the same coin, right? And so I know the thing I've learned is I don't rehearse like an hour or two before. Before I'd be like in my notes, like right before I got on stage, and but now I like trust that it's better for me not to be doing word for word anyway.
I think it's more fluid.
Yeah, and I trust that I'll flow, and it's always better than if I...
Well, that's why this point we got no questions set on this point. It's just two people sit down shooting the shit. You know what I mean? Because I think that goes better. It comes across better to the audience. I think, which I think is really important.
Just flow and get curious. But also, I've been to so many countries, so many industries. I'm doing this cybersecurity stuff. I'm doing construction. I'm doing startups, fintech, whatever.
Yeah.
People are people.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
100%.
you realize like everyone's afraid, has relationship stuff, has like life stuff, has work pressures, AI, blah, 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 blah. Like the themes are really the same. It's like, how do I go about my day and feel good and feel like I have rich relationships and can invest in myself in useful ways?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Slight different words if it's like senior leaders or, young people, whatever.
Yeah, or C-suite or something like that. You've got to have that different. So do you get involved with the younger generation quite a bit as well still? I know that was a big part of your career, but are you still involved in that in some way?
So I'm So my last TEDx was at a university in Sweden,
Yeah.
which was 500 people, and half of them were students.
Wow.
And I was talking about how our, world that is diagnosing conditions is not actually useful for many of us, and it's keeping us stuck and whatever. And that I was nervous about that because I was presenting new content. You have 18 minutes. It is supposed to be rehearsed. I was terrified. But it was afterwards that it was all the students that I was surrounded with questions and stories and whatever.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So I've tried, I always mentor a couple young people, but I've tried doing more volunteering and stuff. But the system is really set up to, I'll try and volunteer with young people and they'll be like, ooh, can you train our staff?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
No, I'm busy.
They're like, we could really use something on burnout. And you're coming as can I volunteer? So you can't just be like, no.
No, you got to do something. To be fair, I've got you here for free anyway, Petra, haven't I? Let's be honest. So let me ask you, if you were to offer a piece of advice to somebody that was perhaps experiencing a toxic workplace, and they didn't know how to approach that with senior management, SLT, or anything like that, what advice would you give to that individual about broaching that subject, I suppose, that in some circumstances, maybe it's a member of the team that's toxic, maybe it's whatever, and the senior leadership team isn't aware. What would be the best way to...
Well, we want to be realistic.
Yeah.
People probably need that paycheck and they can't just do, you would have the self-help influencers that would just be like, quit, the next thing will show up, right? And I love all that, but let's also be realistic. You might have mouths to feed at home, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a way that you weigh this up. So one is, what's in my control inside? Sometimes we, without realizing it, become part of the toxic culture by spending all of our waking hours complaining about it.
Yeah,
and we are actually putting ourselves in this stressful energy that isn't.
I've been there. I've been there, without a doubt. Yeah.
And it's not proactive, and you're making yourself feel worse.
Of course, yeah.
So the thing to do is, outside of work, are you resourcing yourself? Are you swiping and doom scrolling the whole time, or are you going for a walk, connecting with someone? Because you need your resources to be topped up in order to deal with this thing, right?
Very true.
So that's the bit in your control. And then you want to think, who are my allies in the business or influencers? Now, that's not just to have a bitch and a moan to. That's to be like, hey, did you notice this thing? What's possible? Who are the people that may be at the top who might be able to support if it's a micro incident versus a big systemic thing, right?
Right, yeah.
So there's things that you can think about and do. If there's nothing that can be changed and you're resourcing yourself outside of it, you've got to weigh up the impact on your mental health long-term of staying there.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you stay there for 3 to 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, even the paycheck, the safety, are you going to now need long-term sick? Are you burnt out? Is your mental, right? So that's where you have to weigh up, maybe you need to skill up. Maybe you need to change something. Not immediately, but have a plan.
Yeah, so it's kind of the impact of the impact of everything can, in singular parts, can cause quite a bit of damage then, really.
So much.
Really?
And for those of us who are a little bit more sensitive to that, right? Maybe we've had toxic environments in the past, or maybe we've struggled with anxiety, depression, whatever. If you are a higher risk and only you know that, well, you've really got to think about this.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mean that in a, you can't do work or you need to leave. It's you've got to weigh up realistically, the impact on you. And you've got to do something about it before it chips away at you so much that you're just, there's no point.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous bit.
No, it is, yeah. And I think as well, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I think there's a lot of industries, business and things like that talk a very good game in terms of mental health and wellness and culture. And they'll put it in their paraphernalia and they'll say this and they'll say X and then they'll do Y, because in reality they're not doing any of those things. It's just a tick box exercise. It looks good and so on and so forth. And I don't think you can know that, because whatever company you may join, they're going to tell you this,
It's
they're going to
tough.
tell you that, but there's no guarantee that you'll get that when it'll feel like it is at day one, but it's usually day 15, day 16 when you realise this isn't quite what they said it was going to be, which is quite interesting. So in your opinion, what industries do you think are good at providing a positive...
It's about the people.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, because
Right.
I've seen property companies and construction or, ones that you think, oh, well, it's mostly men and it's mostly this and it's mostly that, whatever. And they've had, a real incentive and drive to do these things in a useful way. We might talk about some kind of city jobs as, like financial services, law firms. There's definitely toxic work practices where it's still work all hours and competition. And people say that they almost like they want to do it in a way at first. It's almost like expected, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I work till 2 a.m. I'm like, why?
Yeah. It becomes like a sport.
Until you're injured.
No, I agree. But I do, because I have to check myself sometimes, Petra, because not that I'm competing with anybody specifically, but I take an element of pride in my work, and I take an element of pride in the success that I have as a direct result of it. So I will overwork.
Me too.
And like my bosses are always having to say to me, just chill out a little bit, you know what I mean? And just calm down.
Well, the question is, what are you avoiding?
I'm not really avoiding anything. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Don't you psychoanalyze me.
You brought me in here at the end of the day.
I know, you've done me in there.
I say it because I relate to it. It's easier for me to feel good at my job and get validation and, than it is to navigate like a difficult relationship conversation, I suppose. So it's like, and I don't mean like when we like our work and it's purposeful and good and we like our team, cool. Like I think I'm doing good in the world and I'm passionate about it. But I'll, sometimes work on weekends. It's my business, so fair enough.
Yeah.
But I'll also go for long walks and coffees with friends on a Wednesday afternoon because I can. So for me, that's my version. But
I get that too. I'll get occasionally I'm very busy, so I have to work more. There's other times where it's not as busy, so I can relax a bit more and pull a bit of time. So it's more about. For me, it's the quality of life associated with the role that I perform.
Yeah.
So because I get that downtime from time to time, not very often at the minute because it's been very busy January and February. But it's.
But it doesn't have to be 9 to 5.
No,
right?
it's peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
Like if I need to go somewhere, I can go somewhere. If I need to go and see my daughter in a school play, or go to a parents' evening, or go to the hospital with my wife, then I don't need to ask permission. I can just do it.
Great.
Which is great for me. So I don't mind occasionally working on weekends and things like that because it makes sense to me. Does that make sense?
I think it's self-awareness, everything. Yeah. So like we know, well, we don't know at first, but you can get to know if you're bullshitting yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people do.
Well, I think as well, it's about whether or not you enjoy it. So I really enjoy it. Like I enjoy, like I can't remember the last time I woke up on a morning and went, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I've got to go to work.
I'm like, I get to do this.
Yeah. Like these that I'm excited about, and the podcast is kind of work for me as well, which I've really enjoyed because I get to meet loads of cool people.
Yeah.
And like I put on my LinkedIn profile that I'm a collector of stylists. I love hearing about people's lives, about what they do, about how they entered the industry, about, and I learn as well. Like I've learned lots from you in the 2 years that we've known each other, which has been fantastic. So it's really, really cool. So anyway, what is the name of the new book and how can people purchase it if they want to purchase it, Petra?
Yeah, so digital well-being,
Yep.
long tagline, recharge your focus and reboot your life.
Yep.
Everyone needs a little bit of that.
Yeah.
On my website, which is my name, or Amazon and all the places.
And how much does it retail at?
I don't even know anymore. I think it's.
She sold too many.
No, I think it's $11.99.
Is it? I'm definitely going to buy that though. I wouldn't mind reading that because I think that would be very interesting. And what we'll do is we'll pop a link, guys, under the post so that you can actually access the book if you want to. And any other projects coming through at the minute, Petra?
Well, so many. And as you know, LinkedIn is the place that I put lots of tips and tools. I'm also kicking off a free community for people who would put themselves under the wellbeing lead umbrella.
Right.
So that could be health and safety. It could be people officers, could be managers, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the people that are sick of tick boxes and want to know how to do it a different way.
All right. Well, I think we'll get involved in that. We'll get somebody from our business associated with that.
That would be cool.
Cool.
Really good.
All right, Petra. Well, that kind of brings us to the end. Thank you very much. How did you find it?
It's always fun hanging out with you. And like you said, it's just easy and chilled. And I'm glad I could hopefully offer some tips and advice through my story and stuff. Yeah, well, listen, we'd love to have you join us again in the future, maybe on a panel that deals specifically with those things and get your insights alongside other professionals in that sort of world, which I think would be really, really cool as an episode in the future. But do join us again. As ever, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of a fantastic episode of the Facilities Management
Management Exchange. Thank you once again for joining us. As I said, if you do want to check out Petra's work or her book, then check out the comments section because the link will be in there, and feel free to download it, or I'm guessing you can buy it electronically and all of that stuff these days. But as ever, that's the end of another show. If you can't be good, be bad. Bye-bye.